Hello everyone, I am Durga Saujanya, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, MLR Institute of Technology. I am going to give the video lectures for the subject Embedded System Design. Our today's session was Task Scheduling. This is in Unit 4. So in present session, first we have to discuss the summary of previous session. In previous session, we have discussed what is meant by semaphores. So what are different types of semaphores? So what is the use of semaphores in task synchronization? And we have discussed the problems occurred during task synchronization, which are critical section and priority inversion. So these are the topics covered in the previous session. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about task scheduling, scheduler section, selection, queues and transition through queues. So the first one is task scheduling. Basically, scheduling is nothing but assigning some time to the given task. So allotment of time to each task or each process in an operating system is known as scheduling. Here the scheduling is nothing but there are number of processes are there or number of tasks are there in an operating system. So whenever we power on the system, say in background or in foreground, in both sides, number of processes are always running on the operating system continuously. So for those number of processes, so which process will be started first and which will be completed on which time, and how much time it will be taken for first task, how much time will be taken for second task, how much time will be assigned for third task, like that, and the starting time and the finishing time of each task. So is there any overlap for task 1 and task 2? So these are all will be managed by task scheduling. So in a multitasking system, there should be some mechanism to share the CPU among different tasks and to decide which process is to be executed at a given point of time. So here in semaphores and in task synchronization, we have already discussed that the CPU will be shared between different processes. So there are two types of methods are there. One is multitasking and multiprocessing. So in one case, the CPU will be shared by all the tasks in that process, and in one case, two separate CPUs will be used by two separate tasks. Here in each case, the CPU or the resources which are allocated for that task or process are to be shared between different processes. Here we need to design a system which is used for sharing the CPU among different tasks without having any intervention or any problem, and to decide which task will be run first by using that CPU and which task will be run by next, and how much time will be allotted by the task for CPU. Here in OS, there are task 1, task 2, task 3. So if CPU is allotted for task 1, so how much time this resource will be allotted for task 1? So like that, after completion of task 1, it will release the CPU. After that, for which task it is assigned and how much time it is assigned for another task. So that is the concept of scheduling. Here it determines which task or process is to be executed at a given point of time, known as task or process scheduling. So at that particular given point of time, which task is going to be executed. So that is determined by the task scheduling. It is the form of basis of multitasking. So here in multitasking, we have shared our CPU for number of tasks or number of processes. So that in that concept, we have used the task scheduling. its scheduling policies forms the guidelines for determining which task is to be executed when. So the same, which task is to be executed at what time. And these are implemented in an algorithm run by the kernel as a service. These task scheduling algorithms are to be used by kernel in the operating system. Kernel is the core of the operating system, and this task scheduling is managed by the kernel. So the kernel service or application implements the scheduling algorithm, which is known as scheduler. So the part of the kernel which is used for managing the scheduling algorithms and assigning the schedule time for all the tasks is known as scheduler. Next, there are two types of scheduling algorithms are there. First one is non-preemptive scheduling and preemptive scheduling. Here in non-preemptive scheduling, here we know that once the process is given to the CPU, it cannot be taken away from the process. If there are two processes are there, one is P1 and another one is P2. So if CPU is allotted, that is the resource is allotted for P1, so in non-preemptive scheduling, after completion of the entire execution of P1 only, this resource will be released. So until the completion of P1, the resource will be held by that P1 process only. So it will not be allotted to another processes. So in preemptive scheduling, so depending on the priority of the process, so that means if the current process which is executing, that is P1, is having lower priority, and if P2 is having higher priority, so then this process will preempt the process P1. So that means whenever P2 preempts the P1, so then the CPU which is allotted by P1 will be released and is assigned to P2. And after completion of higher priority process P2, then again the source will be released by P1 and it is allotted to P1. So that means here without the completion of P1, the resources will be released and is assigned to another process, and after completion of second process, again the resources will be taken by the first process and it will complete their execution. So that is preemptive. So this one is non-preemptive. So remember, non-preemptive is nothing but once the CPU is allotted or has been assigned for or been taken by one process, it will not be released until its execution. But here in preemptive scheduling, once the CPU is allotted for one process, if any event occurs or if any higher priority process is to be there in the waiting list, then the CPU will be or the resource will be released by that current process and it is allotted to that higher priority process, and after completion of that P2 process, again the resource will be allotted to P1. So that is called as preemptive scheduling. Here non-preemptive scheduling. A scheduling discipline is non-preemptive if once a process has been given to CPU, the CPU cannot be taken away from that process. At any cost, it will not be released. The characteristics of non-preemptive scheduling. So here shorter jobs are made to wait by longer jobs, but overall the treatment of all processes is fair. Here it should be wait until the completion of P1. So even though the P2 has higher priority or lower priority, whatever the priority of P2, so it should be wait until the completion of P1. So therefore, if it is shorter job also, it should be waited. So shorter jobs are made to wait by longer jobs like P1. So here the response times are more predictable because incoming higher priority jobs cannot displace waiting jobs. Here the response times are more predictable. So how much response time is taken by the P1? So will be used for releasing the resource to the another process. Therefore the response times are more predictable. Here in this, the scheduler executes jobs in the two situations, that is when a process switches from running state to waiting state or when a process terminates. So here, in non-preemptive scheduling, the scheduler assigns the jobs in two cases. One, that is whenever the process going from running state to the wait state. So if this process is going from running state to wait state, so then only the CPU will be released. Or when process P1 terminates, and means it completes its execution and it is terminated, then only that CPU will be released by that process. So these are the characteristics of non-preemptive scheduling. Next, preemptive scheduling. Preemptive scheduling is nothing but once a process has been given to CPU, it can be taken away. So here the strategy of allowing other processes that are logically runnable to be temporarily suspended is called preemptive scheduling. So whatever the process currently running is to be suspended is going to the suspend state, and it is contrast to the run to completion method. And it allows another process which is P2 into the run state. So that means whatever it allows the processes which are currently running are going to the suspend state, and which are in the waiting state are going to the run state. So this is called run to completion method. So this is called as the method used for preemptive scheduling. Here, depending on the scheduling processes, here the process will be switched from either from ready to running state, or from blocked or wait state from running state, or ready state from blocked or wait state, or completed state. So these are the four states which are used by the tasks. So when the scheduling algorithm has to be designed. So we need to consider these four states, that is from running state to ready state, or from running state to blocked or wait state, or from wait state or blocked state to ready state, or from completed state. So when the current task is in these four states, then only the scheduling will be assigned to that task. Here, this is the first task, this is the second task, this is the third task, this is the... So here, this is the example for here after completion of T1 only, the T2 will be started here. So at this time. And after completion of T2 only, the task 3 will be started. Here, after completion of T3, again the T2 will be started. Here in the preemptive process, here when the higher priority task which is having task 3, so if it is enters into that OS, then it will take the CPU resources, and after completion of this execution, the CPU will be released, and whatever the process previously running before task 3, that is task 2, is to be running, and after completion of task 2, again it goes to the task 1. So this is the preemptive scheduling method. So next, scheduler selection. So how can we select which one should be used by our OS? So here we have two types, which is non-preemptive and preemptive. So in these two methods, which one should be selected? So based on the CPU utilization, throughput, turnaround time. So here CPU utilization means we need to select an algorithm which is used for our OS that should have highest CPU utilization, and that means how much percentage of CPU will be utilized for our current task. And throughput is nothing but number of processes executed per unit of time. So here number of processes executed per unit time will give the throughput. So here a good scheduler will always have the higher throughput. So and turnaround time. Turnaround time is nothing but time taken by a process for completing its execution. Here the time taken by the process to complete its execution should be minimum for a good scheduling algorithm. Here we need to select our scheduling algorithm based on the parameters which are CPU utilization, throughput, turnaround time. So CPU utilization should be high, and throughput should be high, and turnaround time should be low. And next, waiting time and response time. So here waiting time is nothing but the amount of time spent by a process in ready queue state to CPU for execution. So here the time taken by the process from ready to running state or for execution. So when moved from ready to the running state or from waiting state to the execution. So the time taken by the process when moving from these states is known as waiting time. So waiting time should be minimum for a good scheduler. And response time. Response time is the time elapsed between submission of a process and the first response. So whenever any process is assigned to OS, so here whenever it starts its execution, so when it is going from ready to running state, so the time taken by that process after going from creation state to the running state, giving the first response. So the time taken by that process from creation state to the first response state is known as response time. So the response time should also very low and a good. So here these are the parameters used for scheduler selection. Here the first one is CPU utilization should be high and throughput should be high and the turnaround time should be low, and next waiting time should be very low and the response time should be low. So these are the conditions to be used for determining a good scheduler. So for operating our process in an operating system, so we need to schedule the operating system by having the parameters in these ways. So a good scheduling algorithm has high CPU utilization, minimum turnaround time, maximum throughput and least response time. And next one is queues. Queues are nothing but which are used by the OS operating system for maintaining the task or job in queue. So whatever there are always continuously running number of processes in the operating system. So in those processes currently which task is running, so that will be moved from queue to the execution. So whatever the task which is created first and is going to the ready state, and whenever resources are allocated, so it is ready for execution. So that is, it is going to the running state. So whenever any task is waiting for allocation of resources, so that will be moved to the queue. So after allocation of resources, this queue will release each task to the running state. So here the queue contains all the processes in the system and which are ready for execution and waiting for CPU to get their turn for execution. Here whenever the resources allocated to the task, it will be released from queue and it is going to the running state. So the ready queue is empty when there is no processes are ready for running. Device queue. Here there are three types of queues are there. The first one is job queue. So job queue means whatever the processes which are used by that operating system. And next ready queue. So in all those jobs or all those processes which are present in the ready state, so those are in the ready queue. And next device queue, so which are waiting for CPU allocation. So next device queue. Device queue is nothing but which are in the ready state and which are waiting for the IO device for their operation. So those are in the device queue. It contains the processes which are waiting for an IO device. Next one is task transition through various queues. Here, so this is the job queue. So we have already discussed that if there are n number of processes in operating system, so those are all in the job queue. Here, after creating each process, whenever the resources are allocated to that process, so only 1 to n. So these are the processes which are allocated with the resources. Those are going to the ready queue. So and those are waiting for IO device to respond. So the processes which are waiting for IO devices, so those are in the device queue. So after allocated with the IO devices, so they are having the grant IO request, then they are moved from device queue to the ready queue, and next they are moved from ready queue to the execution. Here the scheduler will allocate the time for picking up a process from the ready queue and assigning the IO devices to that process, and after allocating the IO devices and CPU, so then it moves that process to the execution. So how much time it will be taken for each process in the job queue when moving from job queue to ready queue and from ready queue to device queue, and from device queue to ready queue, and after allocating of all the resources, the time taken by the CPU for execution. So this is all will be decided by the task scheduler. So here the main function of the scheduler is, so it will fix up the process and it moves the process to device queue, and it will preempt the process to ready queue, and it will allocate CPU time for process, and it will preempt the currently running process if any higher priority task assigned to that operating system. So this is the process done by using queues for the scheduler. Next, in this session, we have discussed what are the topics which are covered in the previous session, like semaphores. And in present session, we have discussed the task scheduling. Task scheduling is nothing but allotment of the time for each process and assigning time to all processes in operating system. And scheduler selection. How can we select the scheduler? Here in task scheduling, we have discussed that there are two types of scheduling algorithms are there. One is non-preemptive and preemptive. So on these two, how can we select the scheduling algorithm? So there are different types of parameters are there for selection of scheduling algorithm. And next we have discussed the queues. There are different types of queues are there, like job queue, device queue, and ready queue. And how can we move from one queue to another queue by scheduler? It will be discussed in the transition through queues. So these are the topics covered in the present session. We will discuss the another topics in the next session. Thank you.